Hello everyone, this is Chung Lau and I am your presenter on BiToolkits for MicroStrategy. What is BiToolkits? BiToolkits is a batch-oriented productivity tool for the MicroStrategy BI platform. There are many powerful functions built into BiToolkits. For this session, we'll focus on change impact analysis as it is a pain point for many of us. Recursive object search is an essential tool in change impact analysis. I want to show you the search algorithm difference between MicroStrategy and BiToolkits. Now on to the demo. We'll perform a dependence search on first order date attribute and then perform a components search on a potential new back-to-school customers filter. We'll be using MicroStrategy tutorial project for this demo. Let's open up the search for objects dialog box. We want to search for the first order date. We found the attribute. Now search for dependence. It found 3 objects. The LU customer table is where the first order date attribute comes from. This table is the parent to the first order date attribute, so we don't need to trace other objects depending on this table. Let's trace potential new back-to-school customers. We found 3 grid reports. Let's trace each grid report. First one, no dependence. Second one, no dependence. Third one, no dependence. That is it. There are no more dependents. Let's trace the system hierarchy. Again, there's no dependence. So there are a total of 6 depending objects, 3 grids, 1 table, 1 filter, and 1 system hierarchy. Now let's do a recursive dependence search. Click on the contains. Okay, make sure the first order date is already entered here, and you select the search for container objects recursively and click Find Now. Whoa, we got 1,794 objects, but we're expecting 6 only. Let's close these windows and onto components search. Okay, let's enter potential new back-to-school customer search. Okay, we found the filter. Now let's do a component search. It found 2 objects, first order date attribute and not between function. Let's trace the first order date. It found the LU customer table, and let's trace the not between function. There's nothing. So the total components for the potential back-to-school customers are 3. 1, the first order date attribute, not between function, and the LU customer table. Now we do a recursive component search. Okay, make sure the recursive checkmark is selected and do Find Now. Now notice we got 368 objects, but we're expecting 3 only. So in summary, the recursive dependence search on the first order date attribute returns 1,794 objects, not the 6 objects we expected. The recursive components search on the potential new back-to-school customers filter returns 368 objects, not 3 objects as we expected. As you can see, it is very challenging to perform change impact analysis in MicroStrategy. In BiToolkits, we use a different recursive algorithm. The algorithm is fast and accurate as it returns directly impacted objects only. Now on to the demo. For this demo, we'll use the free version of BiToolkits. I already downloaded BiToolkits from datapantheon.com. Now I launch BiToolkits. Before you use BiToolkits, you need to go to the Setup tool to configure it. I already set up the user and configure MicroStrategy environments. Notice that the demo is already pointed to the tutorial. So this is good to go. Let's click the Change Impact Analysis button. Notice that it goes into the Object Finder screen. This is because there are currently no batches exist in BiToolkits. If there are batches in BiToolkits, it will go to the batch that you were last working on. Notice the project selection drop-down. Make sure MicroStrategy tutorial is selected. As you can see, there are lots of search options available. We'll go over these options in future sessions. For now, we search by object name. First order date. I click the search button. It found the attribute and a new batch is created. The batch handle is shown on the top left here. The batch number, creation date time, and command name. Now we can run the recursive dependence search. Select the first order date. Make sure the nested levels checkbox is selected. Otherwise, it will only do single level search. Click Dependence button. Notice a new batch is created and the batch number is incremented to 2. We got total of 5 objects returned, including the original attribute, 3 grid reports, and 1 filter. Notice the system hierarchy object and the LU customer table are not included here. The BiToolkits Pro version includes more metadata object types. Now we do a recursive component search. Check the filter here and run the component search and make sure the nested levels is checked. Notice a new batch is created and the batch number is incremented to 3. We got total of 6 objects returned, including the original filter, 1 attribute, 1 column, 1 table, 1 function, and 1 attribute form. Notice the ID attribute form here. It was hidden when we were stepping through each level using the Search for Objects dialog box in MicroStrategy. One feature I want to call out here is we can view prior batch by selecting it from the drop-down. I can select a prior batch here, or I can use the up-down arrow. So in conclusion, the recursive dependence search on the first order date attribute returns 5 objects using BiToolkits, but returns 1,794 objects using search for dependence in MicroStrategy. The recursive components search on the potential new back-to-school customers filter returns 6 objects in BiToolkits, but returns 368 objects using search for components in MicroStrategy. This concludes our first session. This is meant to be a quick demonstration on the power of the dependence and components search algorithms in BiToolkits. There are many productivity tools built into BiToolkits. In subsequent sessions, we'll show you how to effectively use various tools in BiToolkits to increase productivity. Here is a partial list of the tools. Web subscription cloning, search for NCS subscriptions, compare objects, find out objects last used, generate command manager scripts, and many more. In the next session, we will discuss the best practice on performing change impact analysis using BiToolkits. I will show you simple solutions for difficult tasks when performing change impact analysis.